I think that would be the best thing that they could do for his development and for his success is this is yours. This is what we're expecting of you.
Right.
Don't worry about anything else. It's kind of like what we talked about with Taylor Walls and switch hitting.
Yeah. The only concern I have is I would feel more comfortable with this situation if it was Kevin Kiermaier roaming center, because he could kind of cover for Chris Morel. And I don't.
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Rays, your daily podcast covering everything Tampa Bay Rays, from game analysis to player interviews. We've got you covered with all the latest news and insights. My name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulysses Zambrano,
bringing you expert analysis and passionate discussions about our beloved Rays.
Whether you're a diehard fan who vividly remembers Longo's Game 162 just like us,
or you remember the early Double-A days of Wade Boggs and Carl Crawford,
we're here to break down every play, every trade, and every milestone. In fact, this will be our 7th season covering the Rays daily.
And it is spring training time, so that means go ahead, grab your favorite Rays gear, settle in, subscribe to our Locked On Rays YouTube channel and other podcast platforms. You can also find us on X and Instagram at Locked On Rays. I just want to thank everyone for making Locked On Rays your first listen every day. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Yes, the third mailbag question that we did not have a chance to dive into came from the good old Twitter X machine from 702 Living, but always with the 813. I've always wondered what the 702 area code is. I'll have to check that out at some point. The question is Morel a player with no position? He can't play outfield, ? Don't see enough of a glove to play infield. Bat is not that great for a DH. What do they do with him? ?
702 Nevada.
Okay, very good.
There we go. Now we all learned something. What do they do with Morel? Well, what are they going to do with him is basically make him left fielder, the left fielder for the beginning of the season at least. And I'm sure that if they need him to play the infield, they might let him. But I think the idea right now is to start him at left. We saw him last year.
Mm-hmm.
Not that great with the glove in the infield, not that great with the glove in the outfield, but he is a guy that can play both. And I think when the time comes and they might need to shuffle in and shuffle out, I wouldn't be surprised that they would do that.
Yeah, to me, he seems like a jack of all trades, master of none, because he has played third, he has played second, he's played left, of course. I even think he played a game or two at short with the Cubs at one point. And some suggest that like second base is his best position. I've yet to see that. I would have to look at that closely, but I think the Rays' idea and vantage point is, well, they need outfielders. They need somebody that can play the outfield, which means we're having infielders learn to play some of the outfield spots. But hopefully instead of, because I'll just say this, everything I've seen was like he had some of the absolute worst metrics playing third base. If you look at Savant, that reveals it. If you Google Chris Morel third base, articles pop up like, quote, exactly how bad is Christopher Morel at third base? Like, it's not a good sign.
Oof.
Like, all it does is hammer his defensive ineptitude at that position. So my thought is what the Rays are trying to do is, here's your position, learn it as best you can, and we're not going to play games with you of trying to be a jack of all trades. Just focus on left field and focus what you can do at the plate. Kind of similar to what we had talked about with Taylor Walls, of he was primarily a shortstop, but he was being bounced to second and third. So maybe this kind of gives him a home that he can focus and become really good at. I mean, we can't question Morel's athleticism and arm strength. Like, those are given.
Those exist.
As far as the nuances, this is where spring training comes into play, and work with the outfield coordinator and try to be the best you can. And hopefully our pitching staff is so good you don't have a ton of fly balls hit your way. So,
Yeah, basically go look up the rotation, the bullpen, and see their fly ball percentages and start to feel good or start to feel horrible about it. I think that would be the best thing that they could do for his development and for his success is this is yours. This is what we're expecting of you.
Right.
Don't worry about anything else. It's kind of like what we talked about with Taylor Walls and switch hitting. You are going to feel that pain. Why? Because now you're halving your time. You don't have more hours than anybody else. You're going to get tired. So you're not going to be putting the same amount of batting practice on each side that everybody else does because they only have to worry about one. Same thing if you're a guy that has multiple gloves. It's incredible to be a Ben Zobrist. It's incredible to be a guy like that. Not everybody can be that, you know. And Madden was right when he said Zobrist has no chrome, but that wasn't a knock. That was saying solid everywhere. That's amazing. Right. It's not an easy thing to be at MLB. So with Morel, you can give him the chance to hopefully, best case scenario, just be an average left fielder. That's all you really need with the point that you just made with the pitching staff. If your pitching staff is really good, there's no need for him to be Chandler Simpson. Just to be
exactly
funny with the last episode. But yeah, hopefully he's able to learn as much as he can during spring training, make as many mistakes as you can so that you can learn from them so that they don't happen during the season.
Yeah. The only concern I have is I would feel more comfortable with this situation if it was Kevin Kiermaier roaming center, because he could kind of cover for Chris Morel. And you can't really say that anybody will be the defender of Kevin Kiermaier, but DeLuca is still more or less green in his own right as a predominant center fielder. So I don't know how much help Morel is going to get from DeLuca or somebody else who's manning that position, whether it's, Palacios for a game or Josh Lowe for a game.
I think you'd be asking a lot of Jonny DeLuca to say, hey, can you also help out here? I mean, no doubt Jonny DeLuca is going to feel like he's going to need to do that, but is that going to be added pressure on Jonny? Is that we know that he can be an elite corner outfielder, Jonny DeLuca, but in center field, he's just been kind of average. So you're asking that guy to do a little bit more. I think it's a storyline that we're going to follow throughout the season, and maybe we're going to see a lot more balls fall in left center field than we have in the past, because we've been spoiled, people. I mean, I know that we go, Siri and Kiermaier, but before that, Desmond Jennings was pretty damn good. And before him was BJ Upton. For basically, 18 years, 17 years, we've had really great center fielders. This is the first time. Can you say Jonny DeLuca is better than Desmond Jennings?
I can't say that at this moment, but it speaks to the fact of the Rays' philosophy of being strong up the middle, catcher, second base, shortstop, center field. That's the key right there. Now, I will say probably boosting up Morel a little bit is the fact that he doesn't have to do this playing in Tropicana Field, where you could lose the ball and the lights and the other dimensions. Heck, if it's a long fly ball, it might be out of there in Steinbrenner Field or another ballpark, because I feel like it's a much, much bigger challenge to learn left field at the Trop versus Steinbrenner Field or somewhere else that has more of a prototypical ballpark build.
I'd like to get a coach's opinion on this. Where would you play Morel? Would you play him more deep so that he only has to come in more often than not? Again, I know shifting and all that, you're going to be deciding on the hitter, but I'm saying if you had that chance, would you rather him be playing deep so he can only come in? Because if you play him shallow, he might, steal some outs, but also you're going to have to go back, and that might get burned.
Yeah. I would think, again, just based on my recent adult softball experience, that it's easier to come in on a ball than back up on a ball.
Right.
And get all turned around, especially with, it flying in different directions and so forth. So, and he has the speed to make up and catch something that's more on the shallow end of things.
Yeah.
So, and if you play deeper, and you've got Taylor Walls at short. Maybe Taylor Walls or Ha-Seong Kim is, roaming no man's land and is able to get to some of those balls that, because you're playing so deep, you might not be able to. So
Yeah, and
that'd be my point of view.
That would be fun, but that's going to be a fun thing to follow, and hopefully when we follow it along throughout the season, it's more about improvement than, oh my gosh, what we have to change something.
Yeah, really the main concern with Morel is the bat, is figuring that out and making sure it's becomes a worthwhile deal and giving up Isaac Paredes. That'll be an interesting case study, is seeing who has the better numbers at the end of the year, or are the numbers somewhat similar at the end of the year, with Isaac Paredes where he's at with the Cubs, or Chris Morel where he's at with the Rays.
I'll tell you this much, knowing what we need to see from the Rays this season, which is an improved offense, if Christopher Morel is able to be the guy that we all hope that he can be, / the guy he has shown to be at times with Chicago, right, you're not going to care if he feels like Harold Ramirez. You're not going to.
Right.
The bat is first with him. The glove can come second.
And I know that this really isn't talked about much, but Chris Morel is like a great character guy. Not saying he's necessarily on the level of Willy Adames, but he brings off that aura of Willy Adames, of bringing a smile to everybody's face and being the rah guy and having great energy. And I think that translates into a positive attitude and being willing to, okay, I'm going to learn left field and try to do the best I can at it. So
yeah, and you need guys like that. I'm really happy. I'm pulling for Morel. I'm not going to put my hand on the fire for results, but I am definitely pulling for him, of course.
Now, interestingly, speaking on the outfield a little bit further, and we mentioned some infielders there, the Rays are doing some interesting stuff, and we've talked about it as an aside over the last several weeks, but you have a guy like José Caballero who is learning the outfield position. You have Richie Palacios, who we knew played outfield previously, but I feel like there's going to be more of an intense focus on him being a corner outfielder, and maybe even having to spell center field at some points in time. Those are some of the storylines that I'm going to be monitoring this spring, specifically how Caballero handles that outfield position, so the Rays can have a quote unquote fifth outfielder, because we talked about Morel. We know the non-starter with Jimenez playing in the outfield. You can't utilize him. No. I don't really have much confidence in Jake Mangum or Cam Meisner being able to step up to the plate. Chandler Simpson isn't going to be ready by opening day. And plus, you've got a wave of infield prospects on the 4. So it kind of behooves the Rays to figure out, hey, who can kind of hack it in the outfield as we call these guys up, and who can stick around.
Because, again, the Rays have only 2 natural outfielders going into opening day. 2 natural outfielders, people. Josh Lowe and Jonny DeLuca. That's it. So a Caballero option, if he's able to succeed there, that's going to be great. Now, it's kind of like the Jose Altuve experiment with Houston in left field for Jose, because the height issue when you're an outfielder, I mean, you're not going to get any home run stealing catches.
No, unless you got Nate Robinson or Spud Webb like hops, which I don't think Caballero has. Caballero has speed, but
yes, he does.
Hops, I don't know if it's to that extent. Now, he has played some outfield in the fall leagues. He's doing it in the spring, and he's actually said he's most comfortable in center, but I don't. It'd just be so weird to see Caballero as a center fielder, even though I mean he is a middle infielder, but it's just it's not something you see a lot.
What if he does the BJ Upton arc and just goes from short to bleeping center fielder?
That could work too. Yeah, I mean it's kind of like the third base to left field arc we've seen, or third base to right field arc. We see that with a lot of guys here and there as well. But what's interesting, and it got me kind of on a rabbit hole of looking at the Rays depth. I went to their website and kind of wanted to monitor how they have everybody laid out. I mean, this does help from a depth and versatility standpoint if somebody needs a day off or somebody's injured, and you can move guys in and around however you see fit to maximize the platoons, whatever it may be. But I just wanted to roll down these and kind of get your thoughts on this. So first base, the Rays have Yandy, Aranda, Brandon Lowe, and Curtis Mead listed. At second, they have Brandon Lowe, José Caballero, Jonathan Aranda, Richie Palacios, and Curtis Mead listed. Third base, Caminero, Caballero, and Mead. Shortstop, Kim, Walls, Caballero. Left field, Morel, Palacios. Center field, DeLuca, Palacios, Josh Lowe. Right field, Josh Lowe, Caballero. And then DH, Aranda, Eloy, Morel, and Mead. So they've pretty much resigned to the fact that, we're not even going to joke about putting Eloy in left field or right field or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty telling. Now, isn't that cool? At least 3 guys in each position.
Pretty much, yeah.
I mean, you have to, if you're the Rays. This is something that you have to do in order to succeed, because you need interchangeable pieces. Other teams can have the top talent, the Otanis, the Freeman and Betts, and you're like, oh my gosh, what a lineup. But sometimes when those guys get hurt, the 27th, 28th, 29th man, I mean, maybe not at the Dodger system, but in other maybe like Yankee, for example, Aaron Judge goes down. Nobody's going to come close to Aaron Judge production whatsoever in the Yankee system. The Rays might not have an Aaron Judge, but that 26th, 27th, 28th guy should be able to provide as much or close enough production that if you need 6 weeks of that guy, 8 weeks of that guy, you're not gonna die. And guess what? If they're on fire, even better. But that's what you need to do to succeed in the AL East with the payroll restrictions that the Rays have. And having 3 guys at least in each position makes you feel pretty good about it.
Yes. I will also say something that makes me feel pretty good. That is...
Oh, yeah. It's time.
Wonderful Pistachios. It is that time again. Let me get the bag situated here. If you're looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious, well, crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. So go ahead, get snacking and get cracking. Don't dare try saying that 5 times fast. You're going to screw up just like I do. With the snack that packs a protein punch, visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. There it is. Wonderful.
I love that. Love that.
Where were we? Oh, yeah, we were talking infield, outfield, Chris Morel. I did want to change gears real quick, if you don't mind. Something that may not have been seen by everybody out there, but I think everybody should know about it. The Rays are going to be offering $20 tickets to all games at Steinbrenner Field in Tampa. The caveat is they're limited, of course. When you have a capacity of just over 11,000, you can't make all the tickets just $20 a pop. So the Rays announced earlier this week that a limited number of standing room only tickets will be sold for $20 for all 81 home games. There will be a minimum of 100 available per game and more for most. There's something called Rays Rush tickets. That's what these are. They'll be released prior to each home series with notifications available by joining the Rays text list, which you can text Rays to 42086. The $20 includes all fees and taxes. So that's a nice reprieve, because I would have thought, all right, $20 ticket, I'm going to end up paying $34 with all the nonsense surcharges. So $20 max, and then you got to find your own parking, and you got to try to eat before the game and drink before the game to really make it cost effective. But I appreciate the Rays for doing this because I honestly don't know if I expected it. With how
I
much
did.
they were raising prices, supply demand, that they were gonna, hey, cheapest ticket $60, take it or leave it. We're gonna sell out regardless.
It's pretty cool. It's a nice surprise. I think we are both of us are very happy. Not only about the news, but the fact about the $20, including all fees and taxes. Like, we've made it a point on this podcast to always complain about that. So maybe we're making a difference, Kev. Who knows?
I know. Well, really, it should almost be kind of like a commerce-related law that
It really should
you
be.
say it's $20 or $40.
Don't lie
That's
to
what
me.
it is. Your final amount that is charged to your credit card isn't, almost double that.
It doesn't happen in in other countries. The price is the price. What the bleep? Okay, we're not.
We're not going into that. But yes, I get your point.
But yeah, no, that's pretty cool. I think the fact that they said limited number, okay, that kind of scares you. But when they said there will be a minimum of 100 available per game and more for most, okay, maybe there is a chance that you can get some of these. But I think they're gonna sell like hotcakes, bro.
Yes,
I think these are gonna be very, very difficult to get. So it's awesome that they're doing it, and awesome for the people that are going to experience this, which is around 8,100 people. Quick math. But yeah, I think it's going to be very difficult to get this.
Yeah, what I'm wondering is it going to be the first? So you get that text alert, and it's the first 100 people that sign up, or are they going to do a lottery system a la the Savannah Bananas? Because you're going to have to be quick on the draw if you get that text message. All right, I better rip and run with my tickets.
I think it's that. I don't think there's going to be a lot. They would have said lottery system. I think it's like, hey, we send out the text. You better have quick thumbs.
All right. In that case, everybody text raise to, I don't know, 58749. Don't ignore the 42086 number that I just gave out because I want those tickets. Yeah, I would imagine that, look, I can't tell you off the top of my head all the teams that they're playing at Steinbrenner, but if it's, say, the Yankees or the Red Sox,
those are gone.
The minimum is 100, and those are gone. But if it's the White Sox,
you might have 300. You might have 400. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So now I should note we couldn't really expect this. It is not as good as a deal as what the Rays were doing the past couple of years at Tropicana Field. The past 2 seasons, the Rays had offered $10 tickets that included seats with at least 1,000 available per game. They also offered a ballpark pass program with standing room only access to all games for $49 a month or $249 for the full season. And I think that was that worked in their favor. I think they've been able to get the attendance numbers up on that. But really, as much as I think the Rays are flush with cash, new stadium notwithstanding, they couldn't afford to do that with the limitations on Steinbrenner Field. So at least appreciate them making a concerted, full-hearted effort to put a more reasonable price point out there, because everything previous to this that I read was, season ticket prices have been jacked up 50%. Single season ticket prices have been jacked up 50%. Well, this is a way to kind of mitigate that. They really should have led with this as far as the PR battle. I don't know if this is,
maybe this is a safe by the bell kind of thing.
It could have been a safe face. Yeah, it could have been a safe face, because this is something that you want the lead paragraph to be. And then, because it might be, hey, we're trying to do some damage control, because there's a lot of negativity out there with the Rays operations going on.
And self-imposed too. Self-imposed negativity. Like, bro, what are you doing? Put down the shovel, man.
Right, exactly. There are some theme dates. We don't have time to get into it today, but maybe that's something that we'll banter about later. There's some unique ones in addition to the standard, Law Enforcement Appreciation Day and things like that. But I thought there were some pretty cool ones that we might have to mull over in a future episode. Maybe get Evan Klosky's take on that. We will be talking with him on Friday's episode. In the meantime, though, we want to tell you that we appreciate you for making Locked On Rays your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast with host Dominic Martino and Matthew on A. MLB fantasy draft season is here. Be the most informed fan and set yourself up for a league win. Find Locked On Fantasy Baseball on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts.